Reaction. This is the most insane weapon you never heard about. But Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. Oh my god, we have a nuclear video, bomb video. I don't know why that's really exciting. But yeah, it's a Kurzgesagt video. It's not just exciting, it's like one of the most engaging video Kurzgesagt makes. It's just 7 hours and 1 million views already. Yeah, I guess people love bombs apparently. And I remember this time, like there was a time where some scientist proposed a bomb which was stupendous, right? Obviously they didn't follow through with it. 10 gigatons. Now in comparison, the biggest bomb ever detonated, Tsar Bomba from the Soviet Union, was 50 megaton, right? It was supposed to be 100 megatons, but it was 50 megaton, right? And when it was detonated near the Arctic, near Russia, the effects of it could have felt all the way to Europe, Finland, and I'm pretty sure like even some windows were blown up or something, right? Some kind of like seismic activity could be discovered all the way to France or something, and that's 50 megaton. This is 10 gigaton. Like 1,000 megaton is 1 gigaton. That's how it works, right? That's how metric works. So 50 megaton. 10 times then that is 500 megaton. 20 times would be 1 gigaton. This is 10 gigaton, right? So it's like 200 times more than Tsar Bomba. Imagine that, 200 Tsar Bomba exploding. Just few of this bomb and that would be catastrophic. It's like dinosaur extinction level event, right? That's how powerful these things are. So obviously after Tsar Bomba and Castle Bravo, both countries like America and like Soviet Union, like, okay, you know what, this is a bit too much, let's back up a bit. And there was like 50 megaton around it. So yeah, even if they had developed it, I don't think they would have detonated this. They would have detonated this in space or something, on moon, because after those things, they wouldn't have touched this, I guess. When was this I think it was proposed in 1950 or something, right? That was, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting. It's a Kurzgesagt video. We're going to see science of this, how it would have worked. I love history videos, and like history behind it is great, and I guess some video would be really great at that, but this is going to be science behind that thing. So let's watch it.
In the 1950s, the US began the top-secret project Sundial. Most of it is still classified. The goal? A single nuclear bomb so powerful it would destroy all of human civilization. Conceived in cold logic...
You see that? And I was smiling on my face. Destroy all civilization, I'm smiling. Yeah, I'm smiling at science of it. Okay, let's just, yeah.
From the mind of a genius scientist. Sundial had the energy equivalent of 10 billion tons of TNT. A pyramid of explosives 13 times taller than the actual Great Pyramid. 3,000 more than all the bombs dropped during World War II. If you dropped the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima every minute, it would take you over 15 months to match Sundial. How was it even possible for us to achieve this insane level of madness? Everything is different forever. Let's set the stage. If you were 40 in 1945, that means you were born in 1905. Back then, monarchs ruled over much of the world. Only 3% of homes in the US had electricity. Cities were
yeah, and Einstein came with special relativity, right? Maybe a year off, like here and there, but yeah, around the same time.
Dominated by horses. The first experimental planes had just flown. Less than 100,000 soldiers died in war each year. Imagine growing up in this world and seeing change almost too fast to keep up with. By 1945, 24 million soldiers and 50 million civilians had died in 2 world wars. And suddenly, there were TVs, microwaves, jet planes, and nuclear bombs. They kind of broke the brains of the people alive back then. Overnight.
I said that a lot, like World War I was insane. World War II was like exponentially heavy, but World War I, like a lot of things were new, right? It was like streamlining war, efficiency in war, inefficiency in killing, I guess. Like that's just fucked up as soon as I say it. But that's what that was. It was a proper great war, the World War, right? And like trench warfare was like 1,000,000 times more intense. All the weaponry that were introduced, gases like mustard gas, tanks, grenades, all these things were introduced around that time, right? Planes had like, like German planes, I think, right? had this like right, it was involved, yeah, it was like shooting through propeller type technology. That was a big thing because propeller comes in the way, so this makes it much dangerous. So a lot of things, and then World War II even more intensified. So the technology jumped a lot. So anybody who like lived through that would have that kind of perception.
Nowhere from the edge of space to the bottom of the ocean was safe. It's hard for us today to understand the level of terror this instilled in people. The implications were wild. Without nuclear weapons, it seemed you'd stand no chance in future conflicts. Nations without that power would get trampled by those that did have it, no matter how big their armies were. There was one brief moment where it could all have been stopped. In 1946, the US proposed the Baruch Plan and promised to get rid of their atom bombs, share nuclear technology with the world, and set up an international authority to make sure no one ever built such weapons again. But the military advantage of nuclear bombs was too great to let go. Just 3 years later, the Soviet Union detonated their first atom bomb. This caught everyone by complete surprise. The Soviets were not decades behind American technology, but had just pulled even. Shock turned into fear, and fear makes people do crazy things. The whole concept of what war was and how it would be won was overturned in...
That is the thing, right? Like, we talk about how certain countries are really behind certain countries, but let's just say America. It's very easy to close the gap by espionage, right? Look at like, J-20 and all the stealth technology other countries have now in China and everywhere, right? So in today, like I just watched the video of F-35 Block 4 video, like how technology is getting insane. Okay, somebody can just use espionage and like replicate it. There you go. Like gap closed very easily. So even though you have like really high and bleeding tech, somebody could just like copy it in a way. Only restriction would be like, do you have means to do it right, even though you know how to do it right? Like, do you have resources and things like that?
In a hot second. In a world where your enemy could fly over your soldiers and vaporize your cities, the only answer seemed to be a nuclear arsenal that could strike faster and harder. The nuclear arms race began. In 1946, there were just 9 nuclear bombs in the world. In 1950, the number was 300. In 1960, it would be 20,000. In a way, the nuclear arms race was pretty daft. One superpower would develop a powerful new bomb and detonate it, and then the other side would build something more powerful and blow it up, and this would continue endlessly. A dirty and wasteful game of creating more and more horror that seemed totally reasonable at the time. Superpowers spent trillions to have thousands of the most intelligent people show off how hard they could destroy humanity. Fear had to be met with much greater horrors, and one man knew how to make nightmares real. But what if we destroy humanity even harder? Edward Teller was a brilliant Hungarian theoretical physicist. He was among the first people to realize that the fission chain reaction in uranium could make a bomb, and he helped to build it. But for Teller, the bombs were not powerful enough. He was ready to pay any price for security, and to be more secure, to be less afraid, he urged that larger bombs were the answer. Even in the 1950s, this was a pretty hot take, and many scientists were appalled by his ideas. He didn't care one bit, and incessantly lobbied scared politicians to greenlight more devastating nuclear.
All those Hollywood movies where some genius guy fucks things up. That is kind of true, because if you're like real genius, right, and you're, let's say, theoretical physicist, right? You don't care about more than that. You care about science. You care about like pushing the boundary that way. You don't care about, not that he should. I mean, it's not his job to run humanity. Other people have that job. So it's other people's failure as well. But yeah, people like that will always try to push the boundary in name of science, right? So their goal is like, okay, it's for science, but like they don't think about the application after that. Not that science should worry about that, because you don't know which science will be used as what way, right? I mean, nuclear thing gave you like bomb, but it also gave you nuclear plants, which in the future that's going to be the case. Whether you like it or not, nuclear plants are going to be the energy source. There's nothing else, right? Everything else is like touch and go. So, not that scientists should worry about that, but yeah, people need to take things like very seriously. That's what it is. Like, people usually blame scientists. Scientists do science thing, right? After that, your application is up to you.
Weapons. And lucky for him, his timing was just right. Terrified by the rapid nuclear progress of the Soviet Union, he got a blank check from the military to bring his most destructive fantasy to life. It took him only a few years to make them a reality: the hydrogen bomb. A hydrogen bomb is so powerful that it needs a regular atom bomb just to trigger it. It's basically a nuke, the first stage next to a capsule of fusion fuel, the second stage encased by dense materials like lead. When the atom bomb is detonated, it releases ungodly amounts of X-rays that get channeled onto the capsule. The capsule's surface explodes, pushing inwards and compressing the fusion fuel so violently that for a brief moment it simulates a star. When this bomb was first tested in 1952, it instantly erased a Pacific...
Yeah, we've watched videos like this one because and there are people in the comments also like, there is no like fusion bomb, you're all fission bomb. Yeah, fission bomb is inside fusion bomb, but like, let's get this straight. Fusion releases much more energy than fission does, right? Splitting apart an atom, that releases a lot of energy, but like fusing releases even more energy. That's like not even close. Right, so yeah, thermonuclear bombs, the hydrogen bombs are going to be really big compared to any fission bomb. I guess like comparatively, I guess like if you by number, but yeah, fusion bombs are much bigger, right? So like using fission bomb to trigger fusion bomb, that's like much bigger deal than people realize. Like if you have to get timing exactly right without ruining it, which surprises me. Process happens so fast, like. Yeah, it's just incredible, especially back then. In today's world with the computers and things, you think like, oh, this fast things make sense today, but this was back then, right? So this is some engineering marvel right here.
Pacific Island from the map. 2 years later, he tested an even bigger nuke, 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. The world recoiled in horror. With weapons this powerful, war stopped being about winning and total human annihilation became very real. Teller celebrated. In just 2 years, he had enabled the creation of American warheads 100 times more powerful. He had stolen the nuclear fire from the gods and awoken cosmic horrors, but he insisted that it was still not enough. His dream was to have a bomb of almost unlimited power. And once again,
I mean, it's barely something compared to the sun. Megatons is like not much compared to the like cosmic things like our sun, which is like average star, but even compared to this, like barely anything, right? So, but yeah, we hunt. I've said this in the past, like atomic bombs are too big of a deal that if our civilization is like really primitive compared to some advanced aliens, nuclear bombs are still devastating because physics don't change regardless of who you are. Devastating is devastating. Like nuke is a nuke. Right, so if we go against some advanced species and like if we somehow can attack them with thermonuclear bombs, they're gonna be fucked. So we having this kind of like a nuke is like if we are primitive, let's say if we are like toddlers, then toddler have like a machine gun now. That's what it is.
His timing was pretty great. When the Soviet Union detonated its own hydrogen bomb, it sparked a new wave of fear. This is where we get the top secret Project Sundial. The bomb to make all other bombs irrelevant. The final bomb. Teller skipped right to the end of the nuclear arms race. He wanted to build a world destroyer, something so breathtakingly destructive, so incredibly scary that it made no sense to continue playing. Almost everything about it is still classified, but what we do know about it is terrifying. Work on it actually began and tests were planned. Sundial wouldn't be some warhead loaded up onto a bomber and dropped on a target. No, it would be a backyard bomb. After all, if a bomb can destroy the world, why bother moving it at all? No need to bring it close to your enemies, you could as well just...
I'm sorry, this feels like Nazi level shit, right? Like I remember some videos about like how Hitler was like thinking about this kind of certain type of weapons, like bell type of thing that caused earthquakes and destroyed whole town, collapsing them, all that shit. People recovered documents like that, and like obviously like they were defeated, so nobody followed through. But this feel like apocalyptic like weapon, right? I don't know, driving force behind there it was like deterrent, like, oh, we have this, so everybody's gonna die, so everybody chill out, everybody give up the nuke. Was that the reason? Deterrent must be the reason, like I don't know.
Put it in your backyard. Maybe it would have actually been put in the center of the country, maybe it would have been put on a remote island or stored on a ship. We don't know what the actual plans were. But this underlines how insane this weapon was and that Teller knew exactly what he was proposing. In his mind, the rationale was the ultimate deterrence. If you attack us or our allies, we will destroy the world. On a technical level, his concept was not even that complicated. It was probably some kind of nuclear matryoshka doll. The truly breathtaking thing is the idea itself and that he actually attempted to make it real. From what we know, Sundial would have weighed at least 2,000 tons, as massive as a 250-meter-long cargo train. It would explode with the power of at least 10 billion tons of TNT, a number so big it doesn't mean anything anymore. So let's make this a bit more graphic and explode it in Nevada. One wild thing about it is that humanity never tested anything remotely like it, so this is the best speculation we developed together with experts.
Humanity never tested it. Humanity tested 50 megaton and everybody got like scared and ran away. Windows were blown apart way too far in distance. Entire Europe shook in a way. With that, it's just 50 megaton. You want to test 10 gigaton? Of course not.
For a brief moment, a fireball of pure energy appears, up to 50 kilometers in diameter, larger than the visible horizon. It radiates blistering heat at the speed of light. Everything within 400 kilometers is instantly set on fire. Every tree, house, person. The energy would reach much further, but the explosion is so big that the Earth's horizon curves away from it. The surrounding deserts turn into a field of glass. Then comes the blast wave. The atmosphere above the explosion is violently shot into space. A magnitude 9 earthquake shakes the United States, while the sound of the blast reverberates around the world. North American forests burn, adding their soot to the bomb's radioactive fallout to create toxic death clouds that shroud the world like a dark curtain. Sundial is like a nuclear war happening all at once, but it's more like a giant volcano erupting or an asteroid striking than a nuclear war. Sundial would bring about an apocalyptic nuclear winter where global...
Sundial would be like a thing too much, because it would give us cosmic level power, like cosmos level power, cosmic as in, right? Asteroids, super volcanoes, that level of shit. That would have been too much.
Global temperatures suddenly drop by 10 degrees Celsius. Most water sources would be contaminated and crops would fail everywhere. Most people in the world would die. So, congratulations, you won. Good news. Wait, no, bad news. The good news is that Sundial was never built. Most details are still top secret, but we know that scientists reacted with horror and politicians who were secretly informed responded with disbelief. Even the US military thought this was a bit much.
Deterrence makes sense, like I'm gonna nuke you if you nuke me, but everyone else survive. That's deterrence. This basically, if you come close, I'm gonna kill everyone. Like that's way too much for anyone. Doesn't matter, scientist, military general, the most craziest war people you can go to, like through the history, they'll be like, okay, let's just tone down a bit. This is too insane.
Insane world of nuclear arms, this madness was too much. Building it considered a crime against humanity. And it had other problems too. A single apocalypse weapon leaves you no wiggle room. Would you press the button if enemy soldiers crossed a distant country's borders or attacked one of your distant bases? Would you end the world if your rival overthrew a friendly government? Can you protect an ally with a bomb?
Exactly, anything's better than this, because this is definitely not just there, but you are dead as well. Like, what could be the thing? Let's say some enemy detonates nuke at your soil. Some cities are gone, some towns are gone, you're angry, but still have people left. Which is going to be the element that's going to make you say, I'm going to destroy everyone? If your enemy destroys all of your land, in response, you'll destroy all of their land with conventional nukes. You don't need this, right? This only makes sense at like really end-level things. But by that point, it's end-level. Why do we need this?
That would kill them too. The elephant in the room is that while Sundial is clearly insane, humanity still kind of did build it. At the peak of the Cold War, humanity had over 70,000 nukes. Even today, we still have about 12,000 nuclear weapons, enough to destroy human civilization. Instead of a single world burner, the superpower...
I won't say that's the same thing. Humanity could go horrified with 1 or 2 nukes and people might stop. But with this, there's no wiggle room. Once you press it, like everybody's dead. It's like one bomb to rule them all. Lord of the Ring music plays background with Sauron's eye in the background, whatever the fuck that is. But with the 12,000 nukes, okay, a few nukes detonates, people get horrified, everybody says fuck nukes, there is nukes, at least there's a chance of that. With this, there's no wiggle room.
Has built tens of thousands of nuclear weapons of all types and sizes, hidden in submarines or waiting in bunkers and silos. And this sounds so much more reasonable, doesn't it? But this also makes them a much more credible threat. because if people feel they can risk setting off a smaller nuke, they might actually get launched. And we don't know what kind of chain reaction this might trigger. So in reality, the difference...
Every single one of my Russia versus Ukraine video past 6 months, I'm bitching about this. And people are like, why are you talking like that? Nothing's gonna happen. I'm not so sure, man.
Between Sundial and what we have today is not even that big. Humanity didn't build a doomsday bomb, but a doomsday machine. Today, the world may be on the verge of... Today.
Okay. Russia has 4.4 okay, K. US has 3.7K. Damn. France and UK, okay. China is the next one with 400, but France and UK both are like 200 plus. That's something. Okay, Pakistan has 170, India has 164, North Korea has 30, Israel has 90. Wait a minute, Israel has nuke? I didn't know that. Wait a minute, that's fucked up. Oh, so now to worry about Middle East war going out of hand. I thought Israel didn't have nuclear, just like US was backing them. Damn, that's heavy.
The world may be on the verge of another nuclear arms race. The US is on track to spend $1 trillion on nuclear modernization programs, while China is expanding its arsenal and might have more than 1,000 nuclear weapons ready to be deployed by 2030. So far, we've escaped the existential threat these weapons pose, but if an alien visited Earth, it might ask us if we're okay and need a hug. We should ask ourselves as a species if we really want to be ready to destroy ourselves at a moment's notice. That was a lot. Science.
Yeah, well, go to kiviko.com and support this channel. Yeah, I don't think it's easy like that. Let's ask humanity to kumbaya, sing, and everybody calm down. I don't think we can do that because of systems we created. The concept of countries, concept of governments, how government function, how government chain function, how the power hierarchy is. What people want, no one cares. It's very selected people what they're trying to do, which is the most fucked up thing. Even people suddenly realize, oh, this is horrifying, let's everybody calm down. Nobody's going to calm down because people don't directly control anything. All the system we create is like this like entangled web of things that is like untangling it is going to be near impossible. And so like people who actually make decision, yeah, and they are driven by certain type of system, geopolitics and things like that. Like we have to do this if this happens, we have to do this if this happens. It feels like very fucked up scenario. That's not going to end well. It has never ended well in the past. It's just repeating now, right? So as far as concept of countries are there, as far as concept of military and government and how things are working, yeah, World War I, World War II, World War III might not be that far off, right? We thought like nuclear bomb is enough of a deterrent. Apparently, when Russia crossed Ukraine, that became thing of the past. Like, there you go. Now, Middle Eastern wars, this war, China might become like, oh, let's go with Taiwan. North Korea is already like thinking about South Korea. There you go. Alright, well, if you like my next one, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you next time.